Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of Coach Speak. I am Joe Higgins, and with me today is Coach Blaine Gabriel, the Nelsonville-York Buckeyes boys basketball team. Going to wrap up the season here, Coach. 11-12 overall, 6-6, third in the league. Had a shot there at the league there at the end, and of course, a lot of other people needed some help, and they took care of business on their own. But how would you describe this season on the whole overall?
It was a up and down season. You know, it was kind of, I look back at it, you know, I got great kids. It was kind of a little bit disappointing because, you know, we lost Alec after the fourth game. You know, he's the leading scorer. You know, he's first team all-league. He made all-district last year, and, you know, he tore his bicep, so he played the first 4 games, then he sat, and in the last 4 or 5 games he got to play, but he's about 70%. So, you know, there's a young man that had a chance at 1,000 points. So we had to redefine our team this year. You know, we was very young, a little bit of inexperience. So, you know, overall, you know, like I said, it's kind of disappointed. But, yeah, on the other thing, we did a lot of growth this year.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, losing Alec for the time you did, that's never anything that's going to be positive of. But you mentioned it. It did allow for growth of some of your underclassmen. That he was your only senior to finish the year with you. But your sophomores had to get more time. Your juniors had to pick up bigger roles. So how do you think that that's helped throughout the year for them to be able to do that?
Well, I think it's going to help us tremendously next year just because of the growth. I mean, you know, the sophomores and the juniors, we didn't have Alec's senior leadership. Everybody else had to accept a different role. So everybody's kind of grown into what I expect for next year.
We're going to talk a little bit more about each individual here in a moment, but what were some highlights for this season that stood out for your mind when you look back?
Well, we got off to a rough start in the league, and for us to finish 6-6 in the league, I was pretty tickled with that. And you're right, we had a chance. You know, at the tail end, if we beat Meigs and beat Wellston, I mean, we had to have a little bit of help, but we had a chance to be tri-champions, and, you know, we just didn't get the job done. But, you know, we had our shot, and that's all we can ask for. But, you know, we played. I thought we played hard all year. We was in almost every game. There's only a couple games that we got beat double figures, and so, you know, that's a plus on our side also.
Some of the highlights I put down, you can feel free to comment on or not, but 93 points against your old team, the Alexander Spartans. That was a night where everything seemed to go right for the team that night. Then you swept Vinton County, Athens, and Trimble this season.
Yeah, we did, and that's big because that was part of our goals was to do that. You know, the Alexander game, I mean, the second half we just came out, and I mean, we played about as well as we could play, and, you know, it was a lot of fun. I mean, we had 20-some assists for the game.
Yeah.
And, you know, so we got hot at the right time, and, you know, to beat Vinton County both times, I think that's been a while since that's happened.
Yeah, I don't know if that's happened.
Well, and you know, Vinton and Athens is always a rivalry. For us to get the 2 wins there, that was big. Trimble, of course, you know, team over the hill, you know, that's always big if you can get them wins.
That's baked in. So before we get to the varsity players, we'll talk about the JV as a whole. A great season, just 2 losses for that group.
They had a great season. You know, they finished 19-2. You know, the sophomores that was on that group, because it was freshmen, sophomores, they really stepped up. You know, Stevie and Colin played really well this year. Stevie, you know, he bounced from playing 2 to 3 quarters so he could play you know, our minutes at varsity. Colin just shut the lights out this year, and, you know, Caden rebounded the ball great. You know, so they gelled at the right time, right at the first of the year, and they went the whole way. And it was kind of disappointing we didn't get the undefeated season, but they had a lot of growth also.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to transition now to your varsity players. These are the players that you had on your bench at the end of the season. And we'll start out with a freshman, Ethan Landrum, who I know a little bit about.
Yeah, you should. Ethan, you know, he works hard, and you know, we needed another body, so we brought him up so he'd get a little bit of experience. Ethan had a very good season for the JV. You know, he got some minutes for us. You know, he finally got his varsity points this year. So he's pretty tickled over that. But, you know, sky's the limit for him. You know, he works really hard, and he wants to play. And that's a big thing. He'll do what you ask him to do.
On to your sophomores, starting with Caden Schultz. You mentioned his rebounding. His shot also came on at the end of the year.
Caden at the end of the year shot the ball well. I think he hit 3 or 4 threes on the year. which was totally unexpected. But he rebounds well. He does all the little things. The big thing for him is we just got to get him a little bit more physical, and that's a big body to help us.
I saw a lot of mental maturity growth out of him from freshman to sophomore year as well. He keeps that up.
He grew a lot, just like what you just said mentally. He did a lot.
Another sophomore, you mentioned him a little bit, but Colin McKinney, who I have said on the air, he might have the sweetest stroke in the program.
Colin I had him during the summer, and Colin just stepped his game up tremendously. He's gotten taller. He's probably grown 4 inches since summer ball. He shot the ball unreal. I don't know what he scored or what he did, but there's games he was well in the upper 20s, and he does. He's got a very sweet shot, and a little story on him. I went to put him in his first varsity game, and he looked at me and he goes, I'm a little nervous, Coach. Can you give me a minute? So, he got his points in, got his feet wet, and I think he's looking forward to next year.
I agree. Stevie Blair, at times on the JV team, looked like a cheat code. And then you put him in on varsity, and he made impacts.
Stevie made a lot of impacts. Stevie's a very good defender. He doesn't do anything to hurt you. He passes the ball well. He shoots the ball well. And like I said, on-ball defender, he is one of the better ones in the league.
Yeah, he surprised people, and then when they were ready for him, they still didn't stop him.
Correct. He can get to the basket, especially in the JV level.
Another young man so last year played some varsity for you, but this year started and played a lot more in Champ Schultz, and his development on different areas of the floor for you.
Champ, the sky's the limit for Champ.
Yeah.
Champ, I've told him all year we need to get him lift and get a little bit more aggressive. But, he stands 6'4", 6'5". He's a point guard. He sees the court well. He passes the ball fantastic. He finished with 82, 83 assists. I think he averaged a little over 10 points. He rebounds the ball pretty well. He's just so long and lanky. If he grows from last year to this year, from this year to next year, he's going to be something very hard to contend with.
Yeah, I agree. He can do a little bit of everything out there for you on the floor.
Yes, he can.
As can his running mate, his sophomore. I called Grant Elliott a 5-tool player. He did everything for you out there.
Grant can get the rebound. He can lead the fast break. I think from half court to the basket, I think he's the fastest kid in the league. I don't know anybody can catch him. He is unreal. He finishes the ball to the basket very well. I think the only thing on Grant is he lacks a little bit of self-confidence at times. Mm-hmm. And he started coming out of that shell about halfway through the year, started shooting the ball a little bit more. He led us in assists this year. I think he had 86, 87. It's a pretty good duo with him and Champ, between them both in the 80s in assists. And I'm expecting Grant to have a tremendous season next year. He was one of our top 2 defenders this year. We usually put him against the other team's best player.
Yeah, he was extremely impressive this year. Coach, I'm going to pause there for a second because we know how important it is to be in the weight room for your entire team.
Correct.
But when you look back at those players, those 6 players that we just talked about, how important is it for that group to get in the weight room and to continue to develop their bodies? Because you see the talent as freshmen and sophomores.
If they get in the weight room and get a little bit more strength, I think some of them this year realized, it's a physical game. Mm-hmm. We got to be able to go in and shoot a layup and get bumped and still make the shot instead of getting bumped and get thrown off balance. Mm-hmm. I don't think they have to go in and, be bench 300 pounds.
Right.
But just to get to be solid. Grant's getting solid now. If I can get the other ones in there to get them solid. They're very, very fast. All of them I mentioned other than Caden. But, Caden's in the weight room. And, those 6 is really going to be very important for us this year in our season.
Yeah, I agree. And I really thought that in your last game, in the tournament game, that was really the difference. Talent-wise, I thought you were right on board with them. But those kids were older, stronger kids.
They were older, stronger, a little bit bigger.
Mm-hmm.
The first half it went very well for us. We was able to back cut and get a lot of stuff, and their strength and their size at the end kind of wore us down, and we didn't hit some shots. They started hitting some shots, and that makes a big difference. So I think they saw that, and the kids' big thing is they want to get to the convo.
Yep.
And we've got a plan put together to hopefully to get us to the convo.
Yep. We'll get to expectations for next year in a minute. We'll get back to your roster here, switching into your junior class, a transfer this year, and pretty thankful he came over, Weston Wheatley.
He's just a tremendous athlete.
Yeah.
I mean, Weston had to come in. He didn't know anything really about us. He had to learn our system offensively, defensively. He's just an athlete. I mean, he had a very good year. He was our most improved player this year. And at the end of the year, he really understood what we was doing. Mm-hmm. So I think the summer is going to help him for growth-wise tremendously. He's a strong young man anyway. And, he's fast, quick. He was our second best defender. And, we give him this year under his belt. And, I think he's going to be a force next year also.
Correct me if you see it different, but what I saw from Weston early on was kind of seeing where he needed to fit in. Oh, we need more rebounding. I'll go do rebounding. We need more shooting. I'll do that. And then near the end of the year, he started dictating more. Well, I'm going to set paces. If he does more of that next year.
Yes, he did that. And first of the year he was kind of timid on shooting because I think he wanted to fit in. He didn't want to step on any toes. And we told him he had to take his shots. Everybody's got to get their shots. So that was important. But you're right. He did kind of look and see what he could help us best with on a night. And then I'm going to say probably after about 14 games, he just let the game come to him.
Yeah. Well, speaking of shooting, your next junior is Gavin Levy. We know what he can do on the outside shooting the basketball, but I thought his biggest improvement this year was when he realized his ability to get to the foul line, driving, finishing at the basket, get himself to the line.
That was really big because Gavin, until this year, was basically just a shooter.
Yeah.
He didn't look to drive. He didn't look to, make contact.
Mm-hmm.
Probably after about game 4, 5, 6, somewhere in there, he started going to the basket, started getting to the basket. He led us 2 or 3 games there in scoring.
I think a 30-point game or something like that.
He had a very, he was player of the game out to Alexander this year against Warren. He led us in foul shooting. He's gotten taller. Mm-hmm. He's getting thicker also. He's a very big piece for us because, he's a go-to person that we know can hit that 3. We need getting where he's set and move that ball around and getting his shots. And he shot the ball well. He went through a 3 or 4 game stretch there that he didn't miss very many shots.
Yeah.
And, we're counting on him for big things next year. We got 3 juniors, 2 sophomores that started most of the year.
Right.
And, he's part of that program, yeah.
Yeah, I thought, too, it looked like he developed a little more confidence on the defensive side of the ball, too. Saw him pick some pockets that we hadn't seen before. And that was just, he could do it. He just needed the confidence to do it.
He just needed to insert himself a little bit. Yeah. And, Gavin gets out and runs the court very well,
yes,
too.
He does.
I mean, he got to the basket, got some easy buckets, running the court. He passed the ball well. Gavin's a very nice player, and we just need to make sure that, we utilize his strengths next year.
Yeah. I don't know how much I can talk about how impressed I was of your next player and Cam Sullivan, a walking double-double this year. He's a leader on the floor, leader in the locker room type player, but this year he put it together on offense, defense also, and he was very impressive. It was pulling in double-digit rebounds like it was just waking up and doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it just got to the point that we expected it. Cam, after about 4 or 5 games, first couple, 3 games season, he was our leading scorer. But then, he realized, he needed to rebound also. And I don't know what to say. I mean, he's unbelievable. The biggest thing I think out of Cam this year was he took it upon himself for the leadership, to be vocal in the locker room, on the court. He looks for the ball. I don't think he forces a whole lot of stuff. He's just so strong. I think when we walk on a court, I usually say he's the strongest young man on the court. The sky's the limit for him next year. He with the kids, the way they pass the ball, they'll find him. He finishes the ball very well. I expect a double-double out of him again next year. the biggest thing we got to work with Cam this year is his foul shooting. It looks good, but they just don't go in.
And that seemed to kind of fall off at the end of the year. Beginning of the year, he seemed pretty strong with
Correct. Now, in game times when it was crunch time, he'd make them.
Yep.
But, we just went through periods there,
Yeah.
But I can't. I don't have enough praise for Cam. I mean, Cam really stepped up, and like you said, I mean, Cam made second team all district, and that's quite an honor with our district, with Ironton and Chesapeake and all the schools on the river, and our league there also, and so that was a very big thing, I thought, by him being able to make all district.
Yeah.
Because they only took 5 kids on the first team.
Yeah, he was just a lot of fun to watch, too.
He was a lot of fun to watch.
And I hope he sticks with that spin move. That is fun to watch, too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Coach, we'll wrap out your players, your roster this year, and I'm going to give you as much time as you want to talk about Mr. Alec Thompson, because I remember when he came in as rookie and finding his way, and he really found his way through this program over these 4 years to become a real leader. And I guess start with who Alec meant to you as a player.
Oh, Alec is like a son. I mean, I love him to death. It hurt me when he got hurt where he couldn't play. Alec had a possibility. I'm not saying he would have, but Alec had a possibility to score 1,000 points. He got hurt. Last year he was first team all district, first team all league. He made all district last year. We expected big things out of him. He's special mention as a sophomore all district. He's a leader. Even after he got hurt, he came to practice. He helped coach while he's on the bench. He did a bunch of little things that he was involved with. He's going to play in the Ohio-West Virginia All-Star game March 27th down at Parkersburg South. I don't even know where to start or end with Alec. I mean, Alec has just been so much fun, very talented for the program. I first met Alec when I first came up here. Well, I actually met Alec at AAU tournaments before I was coach up here. So he was like in second, third grade. Excuse me. And I'd go and I'd watch him. So I just kept watching. Then when I got the job up here, I'd go and I watched the NBA league. I still went and watched the AAU. So, I've been involved with Alec probably 8-9 years. And, like I said, he's like another son. I mean, he's just been with me all the way. We'd go scout. He'd go ride with me and go scout. And, it's just the little things like that I love all my kids that's in the program. But, he's just one of those kids that, on senior night, I'd already made up my mind whether he could play or he wasn't. He was going to start.
Right.
And, I was going to have him on the court for that night. Senior night was tough because, he's about 70%. And those things are kind of tough, especially when you're a senior. And, I hate senior night because I know the end is there. And I hate that because, you get very attached. I'm attached to all these kids. And, you get attached to them and you don't want them to leave.
Yeah. But again, he was with the varsity from his freshman year on, so you had him the
Correct.
whole time.
He got that nickname Rookie, and he wanted to know why he's still going to be called Rookie this year. And I said, because you're a rookie as a freshman, and that's how you're going to be the rest of the way through.
That's how it works.
So, but yeah. So, I think he'll have a good all-star game because he still works at it. He'd like to win on. I mean, I know he's going to OU in physical therapy right now, and who knows, maybe down the road something will work out for him.
Maybe. Alec was a player who he impressed me so much because he was such a unique player. He wasn't a prototypical shooter the way shot form. He had a different style of dribbling the ball as well. But he could shoot, he could score, he could take you off the dribble. And then the same thing defensively. He wasn't the biggest kid, but he was the best defender because he was tenacious. He was often giving up inches and pounds, and he just played so well anywhere on the floor defensively.
Once Gator graduated, Alec was the defensive stopper. I mean, last year here, we played Meggs. It was a 4-point game. He guarded Carson at 6'8". And, when he got in the post, Alec pushed him out.
Yeah.
I mean, Alec is strong.
Yeah.
You don't beat him off the dribble. He's just strong. He can play you straight up, and, he can beat you to the basket. You're right. And, you can't emphasize how, especially when he first went out because it caught us on, we didn't know.
Right.
And, we had to change everything that we was doing because of, he had the strong defensive, approach. He had to be that person. And then, we had to move that. And we had to work with Grant and Weston and say, okay, this is what we expect out of you. And, that's tough when you're throwing them in that you've always had somebody else do it.
In mid-season, too.
Yeah, yeah. You didn't give them a warning, except game time.
Right.
So, yeah, Alec's going to be missed very much, and I'm hoping he still comes around. I think he's going to go to OU. I'm hoping he still comes around and wants to be involved.
Yeah, we're going to miss him greatly for sure.
Yes.
So, Coach, the 9 that we just mentioned, all of them coming back, whoever might step up from the JV team as well. You got freshmen coming in. Maybe they make an impact. What's your expectations for the Buckeyes next year?
It's very, very high. I'll be honest with you. I think we have a legit shot to make it to the Convo. Rumor is, and I don't know, is that we're going to probably drop to Division 6 because we dropped from 151 to like 120, 122.
Oh, wow.
So we dropped quite a few boys. It don't matter what division we're in. We have to win the games we're supposed to win. We struggled with a couple of those this year. I think we'll contend for the league. The kids are putting high expectations on themselves even right now. This summer we're going to go and try to play some different teams in the summer that we haven't played before. We're going to try to play up in a couple shootouts to play against the D2s and if there's ones there and see where we measure up. I mean, I'm not saying we're world beaters, but, we just need to be doing that kind of stuff. But, the kids have got the offense down pretty good now. This is our basically our second year and a half of trying to switch and do this. Defensively, they know how we want to do a couple of things. After Alec got hurt, we went in, we moved into some couple junk defenses, some zone defenses, and the kids picked up on it, and I think they enjoy it because it's a change of pace, and we're looking to do that. And you know me, I like to run, so we're going to do things to try to set us up so we can run the court.
Well, Coach, it was still, I know, a little disappointing year, but I think the growth itself that you saw this year, it makes it a successful season, and it sets up for what could definitely be to come. You mentioned the league. I think it's wide open next year.
Well, I do too. And, when I first came up here, it was try to compete. And, it's just like now we walk on the court and we expect to win, even this year. I mean, we've had 3 straight winning seasons, and this was 1 game under, and, that was very important to us. And, we just different little things throughout the year, but, we just got to be able to put it all together, and I think next year is the year that we need to do it.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, congratulations on the season. Thank you for coming to talk to us on Coach Speak. Well, best of luck to you for next year.
Well, I appreciate it, and I do really appreciate you guys coming and taping our games. I've had so many people compliment you guys for the media doing this, and the community's behind us. I mean, it's a great community up here. I mean, I love it to death up here. I mean, they treat me like gold, and I really enjoy it.
All right, we appreciate it, Coach.
Okay.
Coach Blaine Gabriel, Nelsonville-York
you.
Buckeye varsity basketball team. We'll see you next season.
Okay, thank
Thanks,
you
Coach.
very much.